Every 66 seconds, someone in this country is told they have dementia. For a real share of those families, the cause was never just aging, it was a medication sitting on the bathroom shelf, one they were told was perfectly safe. I'm counting down 9 medications most closely linked to memory loss in seniors, from the ones that quietly fly under the radar to the one I think does the most damage. Watch for number 3 especially. It's handed out for something that sounds completely harmless. Let's start at the bottom. Here's the thread connecting most of this list. Your brain runs on a chemical called acetylcholine. It's what lets you form a new memory and stay sharp through the day. As you age, your brain makes less of it and leans harder on what's left. A lot of very ordinary medications block that chemical. They're called anticholinergics, and the effect lands much harder on an aging brain than a younger one. The part that takes the hit first is the hippocampus, the small structure where new memories get formed before they're filed away. This isn't a fringe idea, it's one of the better replicated findings in geriatric medicine. Let's get into the list. Number 9 is Diphenhydramine. You know it as Benadryl. Don't let the low spot fool you. This one is in almost every medicine cabinet in America. It's the pink pill people reach for to sleep, to calm allergies, to take the edge off a cold. No prescription needed, so most people assume it's gentle. It isn't, chemically. Benadryl is a strong anticholinergic. It blocks acetylcholine directly. A widely cited study out of the University of Washington, published in JAMA Internal Medicine, followed more than 3,400 older adults for years and found that people with the highest cumulative use of strong anticholinergic drugs, antihistamines like this one among them, had roughly a 54% higher risk of developing dementia than people who mostly avoided them. Check the label on anything marked PM, nighttime, or allergy relief. A lot of them are just Benadryl under a different name. Newer antihistamines like loratadine, sold as Claritin, don't cross into the brain the same way and are considered safer for regular long-term use. Never stop anything on your own. Bring it to your doctor. But stop assuming over-the-counter means safe for your memory. Number 8 is the proton pump inhibitors, omeprazole, sold as Prilosec, and esomeprazole, sold as Nexium. These shut down stomach acid production and get handed out for heartburn and reflux, often for years, because symptoms come roaring back the moment people stop. Here's the part worth knowing. Your stomach needs acid to absorb B12, and B12 protects your nerves and brain. Long-term acid suppression can quietly lower B12, along with magnesium and calcium, and low B12 in particular can produce confusion and memory slips that look a lot like early dementia when the real cause is a nutrient deficiency. I'll be straight with you on the dementia research itself. It's genuinely mixed. A well-known 2016 German study linked regular PPI use to a meaningfully higher dementia risk, but several larger, more recent studies haven't found the same link once other health differences were accounted for. The nutrient issue, though, is well established, regardless of how that debate settles. If you're on a PPI long-term, that's worth a conversation with your doctor about the lowest effective dose, or switching to a gentler class like H2 blockers, famotidine, sold as Pepcid, not because the dementia link is proven, but because the nutrient risk is real and manageable. Number 7 is the Bladder Anticholinergics, oxybutynin, sold as Ditropan. Given for the sudden, urgent bathroom needs of an overactive bladder, real relief for a real problem. But oxybutynin blocks acetylcholine the same way Benadryl does, and it crosses into the brain easily. It's one of the specific drug classes included in that same large anticholinergic burden research, and long-term daily use shows up clearly in the data. The pattern is familiar. People notice forgetting appointments or losing their train of thought, and everyone, including them, chalks it up to age. It's rarely traced back to the prescription until real ground is already lost. If you take oxybutynin and you've noticed your memory slipping, that's worth raising with your doctor. Newer drugs like mirabegron, sold as Myrbetriq, work through a different pathway entirely and don't block acetylcholine, offering similar bladder control with less cognitive risk for a lot of people. Number 6 is statins. Simvastatin, sold as Zocor, and atorvastatin, sold as Lipitor. This one probably surprises people, and I want to be careful with it because it's more contested than a countdown list usually admits. Statins are among the most prescribed medicines on Earth, and they do real important work lowering cardiovascular risk. This isn't a case against them. There have been individual reports and some smaller studies of brain fog after starting a statin, enough that regulators added a label noting the possibility. But the larger population studies looking at statins and long-term dementia risk have generally not found a consistent increase, and some research points the other way entirely. If you've noticed fogginess since starting one, it's worth mentioning to your doctor. A dose adjustment or switching to a statin that crosses less readily into brain tissue, like pravastatin or rosuvastatin, can help. But don't stop a statin over this on your own. The cardiovascular risk of quitting cold is not contested the way this research is. Number 5 is the benzodiazepines, lorazepam, sold as Ativan, diazepam, sold as Valium, and alprazolam, sold as Xanax. Prescribed heavily for anxiety and sleep, and at first they genuinely help. The panic eases, sleep comes back. Research on benzodiazepines and long-term dementia risk is real but messy, partly because of a chicken and egg problem. Anxiety and insomnia can be early symptoms of dementia itself, which may partly explain why heavier users in some studies were diagnosed more often afterward. What's clear, independent of that debate, these drugs slow thinking and impair new memory formation while you're on them, and the longer-acting ones, like diazepam, build up in the body over time. And stopping one abruptly after weeks of regular use can be genuinely dangerous. The rebound anxiety and agitation can be severe. If you've been on a benzodiazepine for more than a few weeks, don't stop suddenly. Work with a doctor on a slow taper. Options like buspirone or therapy approaches built specifically for sleep and anxiety can bring real relief without the same cognitive cost. Number 4 is Amitriptyline, sold as Elavil. An older antidepressant still prescribed today for nerve pain, sleep, and migraines. Its versatility is exactly why it's stuck around. It's also one of the stronger anticholinergics still in wide use, and it's part of the same large research base as Benadryl and oxybutynin. That JAMA internal medicine study followed people on cumulative strong anticholinergic use, including tricyclic antidepressants like this one does for years, and found meaningfully higher dementia risk in the heaviest, longest-term users. People often start it for sleep or nerve pain, then slowly notice words going missing and chalk it up to age. If you or someone you love takes it regularly, that's worth a conversation. Alternatives like duloxetine or gabapentin can help with nerve pain without the same anticholinergic load. For sleep, melatonin or a much lower dose of doxepin is gentler. For mood, newer antidepressants like sertraline or escitalopram are generally considered safer long-term for cognition. Number 3, watch this one, is paroxetine, sold as Paxil. It's handed out for something that sounds completely harmless, just an SSRI, and on paper it looks like the gentle, modern option. Here's the detail that gets left out. Paroxetine is the one SSRI with meaningfully stronger anticholinergic activity than its siblings, like sertraline or escitalopram. That's not a minor footnote. It's specific enough that the American Geriatric Society's Beers List, a formal catalog of medications considered riskier for older adults, flags paroxetine by name for exactly this reason. If you're on it, ask your doctor about moving to sertraline or escitalopram, generally considered gentler on cognition with similar effectiveness for mood and anxiety. Number 2 is the antipsychotics, quetiapine, sold as Seroquel, risperidone, sold as Risperdal, and olanzapine, sold as Zyprexa. This is the one that troubles me most because so many people taking these never agreed to take an antipsychotic. They're approved for serious conditions like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, but they get used off-label in older adults, often in care facilities, for sleep, restlessness, or the agitation that can come with dementia itself. This one has real strong regulatory backing. The FDA has a black box warning on these drugs for older adults with dementia-related behavioral symptoms, specifically because of increased risk of stroke and death, not a maybe, an official warning. They also bring heavy sedation, fall risk, and can blunt someone's personality to the point where families grieve a person who's still sitting in front of them. If a loved one is on one of these, ask the prescribing doctor directly. Why was this started, and is it still necessary? A lot of behavioral symptoms respond to non-drug approaches first, steady routines, less overstimulation, treating hidden pain, fixing sleep. When medication truly is needed, lowest dose, shortest time. Number one isn't a single drug, it's the stacking of several at once. This is the part almost nobody names, and it may be the biggest driver of everything on this list. Anticholinergic polypharmacy. Picture it. Benadryl every night for sleep, oxybutynin for the bladder, amitriptyline for nerve pain. Each one alone might cause a small, barely noticeable dip. Stacked together, the total anticholinergic load climbs fast, and that's exactly the pattern the strongest research on this topic has tracked. Cumulative burden across drug classes, not any single villain. Here's the hopeful part, and it's the reason this list is worth making. Drug-related cognitive decline is often reversible when it's caught early. The fix doesn't take a miracle, it takes a real medication review. Sit down with your doctor or pharmacist. Go through every prescription, every over-the-counter pill, every supplement, and add up the anticholinergic load. There are simple scoring tools built for exactly this. Once the problem drugs are identified, you can taper what you don't need and give the brain room to recover. Of these 9, which ones are sitting in your cabinet right now? Tell me in the comments and tell me you'll ask for a medication review this week. It might be the thing that helps the next person reading it. And before you go, your medicine cabinet isn't the only place your body hides a warning like this. Your fingernails can flag trouble in your kidneys, your blood, even your nervous system, years before anything else does. That's the next video. I'll show you the 4 nail signs worth checking tonight.